Hi, my name's Gary. I picked up a bacterial infection from my worm farm. I had a worm farm to make super soil for my plants, and there was a plethora of bacteria in there. I knew about it. I'm not stupid. I didn't get into it without looking into it. I wore gloves, and on this particular day I had a split in my glove and I had some blisters on a finger and got infected on 3rd of March. I think I've already said that. Anyway, a few days later, a hole opened up on one of my fingers. I never cut it. It just opened up on its own, which made me a bit suspicious. I put TCP on it, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever had. I put TCP on many cuts and wounds, but this one was, it was just the most painful experience I ever had for a cut, putting TCP in it. Anyway, I managed to close it out with CBD oil. A few days later, 4 holes opened up on 2 fingers. I knew exactly what they were. These were flesh-eating bacteria. They come from my worm bin. They eat organic matter for the worms all day long. That's all they do. And that's what they do in the wild, in your garden. Oh shit, where was I? Yeah, I've had these mind blanks ever since I got this infection, and that's called spirochetes. They fuck up your brain inside. Now, these are good bacteria that live in your mouth, which we know nothing about. Why do we not get told about these that live in your mouth? When they get out of hand, you get bad breath. Gingivitis, they call it. But that's just because and they put it down to your poor hygiene. It's not, it's just these having a better fucking grasp on you and getting on in life, because that's what they do. And anyway, these good bacteria that live in your mouth, why are they not there for people to see and hear about? Yeah, you hear about something denticoli. That's these giving it a very funny name, so you don't put it towards these spirochetes that cause nasty diseases. There's 3 main types of these. Now, they're really good until they have penicillin. Now, penicillin turns them into really nasty bacteria and go and do some really nasty things to humans, like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. But all these diseases always lead back to Lyme disease. And I only discovered that today because I've been doing nothing but researching this for 6 months since I got infected with this. And I've been to the NHS on numerous times for help. In fact, I'm getting counselling for it now because they're trying to label me with psychosis, and they're trying to put it down to my military career, where they gave me vaccinations to send me out to the Gulf. Now, if you're telling me that these weren't safe, why did they give it to us? But it didn't affect all the troops. So how can it be the vaccinations if it didn't affect all the troops? 1.2 million troops went out to the Gulf, and there's not 1.2 million troops that are ill with it. There's just a few thousand. Well, it's more than a few thousand if you want to Google it. And these just try and shut you up. As soon as I mentioned this to people a few years ago, I've been followed. I thought it was the DSS department following me, but it wasn't. It's my ex-employer, the MOD, trying to shut me up of what I found. And it's not a nice thing to know. Anyway, these bacteria live they live on other parts of your body. I haven't gone into that. I'm just looking into the ones that are inside me. Now, I've seen all 3 types of me under a microscope. My dogs are infected with this. Now, I've sent samples off to a vet for them to I sent 3 samples off, and they just showed me a portion of one of them. Now, if they'd showed me the whole of that one, you'd have seen its legs. They call them flagella, but the size of this thing, it's too big to be flagella because it's not a bacteria no more. It's the size of size of an insect. Excuse me for swearing. It's the size of an insect. Well, it's not. It's bigger than an insect. This thing's 2.5 centimeters long now. When they go in your eye, it instantly turns into a worm and starts wheeling like a worm, but outside it has a camouflage of a hair, and it moves so slowly because it doesn't want to give its disguise away. You think about it, You don't have soldiers rushing around in the bushes giving their position away, do you? Well, that's what these do. They use it for camouflage. Now, I've discovered this over the last 6 months. Now, these things are inside me. Now, every month, for a few days, they go down to my fingers and they chew on the backs of my fingernails. Now, I couldn't work out why they were doing that or why my fingernails were getting bruised. Well, it's to get that keratin so they can turn into a hair and start the cycle again, get out and go and infect another host. I'm not making this up. I've watched this, I've looked, and it's their penicillin that turns these into nasty creatures. And then they go out and cause dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Hodgkinson's. Yeah, fancy European names that all these scientists went to look into dementia. You can check it, because I have. And they give it a new name so they can give you more medication for the same thing that they're giving other people for. But all these conditions lead back to Lyme disease. Now they're trying to tell you it only comes from certain places in the world. It don't. It lives in your garden. Nice and happy as Larry until it's had penicillin. And then it's not so nice. And then it goes and does all these nasty things to humans and other non-primates, as they put it down to. Yeah, they've come up with so many excuses for this over the years. It's unbelievable. This scam has been going on for 100 to 200 years. I'm still looking into it, but my internet has been so manipulated I can't research spirochetes anymore. So if any of you out there want to Google them, you try and find a picture of an adult one that looks like a hare. You're looking for a guy called Lopez back in the late 1700s. That's how far I had to go to find out, to identify one of these. I'd never heard of them. I've been in jobs before where I've needed to know about this. These things tell you leptospirosis comes from a rat. Yeah, it does. That's from this little bacteria living inside the rat. That's them living on human fear of certain creatures, rat, bats and ticks. We fear those creatures. We have a subconscious fear of those creatures because they're not nice. They don't do nice things to us. Now these have attached diseases to them because they're not nice and we fear them. Well, they don't just come from there. You can get it in your garden. I'm not making this up because that's how I've caught it. I haven't been nowhere near a tick, a rat or a bat. And neither have my dogs. Now all 3 of us are infected. Now they're infected because the hospital gave me 2 types of penicillin for washing my hands too much. They tried to tell me I was washing my hands too much. That's an infectious diseases clinic. And then they gave me 2 lots of penicillin and some cream which helped me spread it to them. It was supposed to have paraffin in it. There's no, I'm an ex-fireman. First thing I did, because I smoked, was try and see if it would ignite. Thing was totally inert. You could use it as a fire extinguisher. It's that inert.